Nina had always felt invisible. In the bustling streets of New York City, where the world hummed with ambition and chaos, she drifted quietly through the cracks, like smoke through a keyhole. At 23, she had mastered the art of wearing a mask, her smile precise, her laugh at the right pitch, her eyes just vacant enough to avoid further questions. But behind closed doors, in her tiny studio apartment, the silence screamed louder than any crowd. It was there, in the stillness, that she faced the weight she carried, a gray, shapeless thing pressing against her chest, stealing the air from her lungs. Nina's days revolved around routines designed to avoid the heavy stillness, working double shifts at the coffee shop, aimlessly wandering the city, and scribbling in a weathered journal she carried everywhere. Inside the journal, her sketches were a chaotic storm of sharp lines and shadows, visual screams on paper. It was her only outlet, a secret world where she poured out the emotions she couldn't articulate. One evening, while sketching at a subway station, she noticed a street artist setting up his easel nearby. He worked fast, his hands moving like magic as he painted vibrant, surreal landscapes. His name was Eli, and his paintings were bold explosions of color, worlds where the sky bled green and the ocean sparkled gold. Intrigued, Nina stayed longer than she intended, watching his creations come to life. Eli caught her staring and, with a warm smile, struck up a conversation. He was charming, but there was something about him, a subtle heaviness behind his eyes. He recognized the weight Nina carried because he had carried it once, too. Over time, they formed an unlikely friendship, bound by their shared understanding of brokenness. Eli introduced Nina to a hidden art studio tucked away in an abandoned warehouse. It was a sanctuary for lost souls, painters, poets, musicians, all creating as a means to survive their struggles. Here, Nina found herself drawn to painting. For the first time, she dared to use colors, splashing reds, yellows, and blues across her canvas, colors that began to chip away at the gray inside her. But healing was never a straight path. One night, Eli confided in Nina about his own battle with depression and how art had saved him. His vulnerability pushed Nina to confront her fears, her pain, and the reasons behind her silence. Piece by piece, she began to untangle the roots of her sadness, an absent father, the loss of her best friend, and the overwhelming pressure to be okay in a world that never stopped moving. The turning point came when Nina displayed her work at an art show organized by the studio. Her pieces were raw and haunting, but they resonated deeply with those who saw them. Strangers approached her, sharing their own stories of struggle, thanking her for giving their emotions a voice. For the first time, Nina felt seen, not for the mask she wore, but for the soul she poured onto the canvas. The story doesn't end with Nina being magically cured. She still has bad days. But she learns that healing is not about erasing the darkness, it's about finding light to balance it. With Eli and her new community by her side, Nina begins to believe that maybe, just maybe, she is more than her pain.